Good morning, dear children. How are you all? I hope everybody is happy at home. See, we have been off from the school for many months. Do you remember some of your friends? Do you make a call? Okay, today we shall discuss a short story about friendship. This story was written by O. Henry. Is a pen name. His real name is William Sidney Porter. He is an American short story writer. He is known by his pen name O. Henry. O. Henry talks about two thick friends, Mr. Bob and Jimmy Wells. They are the two friends. You see, they were almost brought up like brothers of the same blood, but they were friends. They were always together in their thicks and thins. You see, while Bob was 18 years old and Jimmy was 20 years old, Mr. Bob left Chicago and went to the western part of America, looking for fortune in his life. Mr. Jimmy Wells actually didn't like to leave his hometown, so he decided to stay in his own hometown. But Mr. Bob was so ambitious, he wants to earn more in his life, so he decided to leave his native place and decided to go to the west in search of wealth. By all means, he wanted to become rich. So the present story introduces us 20 years after they left. It has been 20 years since they left. Bob went to the west and Jimmy Wells stayed in Chicago itself. So, before they left, they have made a decision to meet at this particular place after 20 years. So that we'll come to know. You see, the beginning of the story, Jimmy Wells, later in his life, he became a police officer. He is a sturdy man, strong and adamant, an honest, sincere police officer. He is on his regular beat. So he is in his patrolling the particular street. He is walking with his wagon or stick in his hand. He is twirling it, swinging it, twisting it, and he is walking, making sure that the street is safe under his vigilance. And as he was walking, he happened to see a man standing at the door of a hardware shop. So Mr. Wills simply approaches him, and then the man who was standing at the hardware store just turned up. He said, "Everything is fine, officer. I'm just waiting for one of my friends. It has been 20 years since we met." So he said, "If you have time, if you are interested, I shall tell you the story." So Mr. Bob did not realize this was Mr. Jimmy Wells, that his own bosom friend. So he did not identify him. It has been 20 years. So they have changed a lot. They have grown up a lot. So Bob could not identify. So he is telling, in this place, 5 years back, there was a restaurant, Big Joe Brady's restaurant. It was here that we dined for the last 20 years ago. We took dinner at this restaurant, Big Joe's Brady restaurant. But 5 years back, this restaurant was demolished and they built a hardware shop here. So anyway, our appointment was here to meet after 20 years, exactly this day after 20 years. And this hour, this is almost 10 in the evening, 10 at night. So saying so, Mr. Bob began to walk along with this police officer, and Mr. Jimmy Wells notices his face. It was a pale, square-jawed face with the keen eyes, and there was a white cut on the right eyebrow. Suddenly, Jimmy Wells identifies his bosom friend. It is Mr. Bob. But he is a police officer, and he is a sincere police officer, and there was a message to this Chicago police that a man named Bob is wanted by the police. He was a criminal. He was earning his wealth by an illegal means. So he was a wanted criminal. Bob did not know it was his best friend Jimmy walking along with him. So Jimmy did not disclose his identity since he is a police officer. His duty is to arrest the thief, the criminal. So he did not disclose this is Jimmy, but Jimmy kept his word. Jimmy and Bob decided that they would meet after 20 years, exactly after 20 years at this day, at this hour, that is exactly at 10 o'clock. So Jimmy Wells was there at the restaurant, where the restaurant was there earlier, Big Joe's Brady's restaurant. Now the shop is not there. But he was there, he kept his word. Bob also kept his word, but Bob did not realize Mr. Jimmy, his own bosom friend. But Jimmy noticed his features. He has a pale face, quiet-jawed face, keen eyes, and had a white cut on his right eyebrow. So he identifies and he immediately knows that he was a wanted criminal. So Mr. Bob was telling, he was interested to tell his appointment with bosom friend, and he said, I know Mr. Jimmy Wells is a man, is a loyal, faithful man. He will keep his words. I am waiting for him. I know that he would come. He would keep his word. So this is going to be 3 minutes to 10 o'clock. I know that he will be here at the stroke of 10. So I know him. He is such a person. And they started walking a little further. And he said, okay, you wait for your friend. I am leaving. How long will you wait for your friend? Asked James Wells. And he said, sorry, Jimmy Wells. Okay. So Jimmy Wells said, you can wait for 20 minutes you will wait? Okay, you can wait. Your friend will not be long. So Jimmy Wells walks away. Bob returns to the hardware shop where the restaurant was there initially. So he is waiting for his best friend Jimmy Wells. After a while, it was drizzling. So a tall man in a civil dress walked up to Mr. Bob and he said, oh my dear Bob, how are you? Have you been waiting for here? Yes, and immediately Bob realizes Jimmy and he said, oh my dear Jimmy, yes, I was so happy to see you. So they shook hands and they embraced, and 20 years of their friendship they celebrated at that very moment. And then he said, if the Brady's restaurant was here, we would have dined here 20 years. You kept your word. I know that you will never fail your word. So Bob said so, and they shook their hands and they decided to walk a little, talking, telling them what fortune he made, how he had a scarf pin of large diamonds. Bob had a scarf pin. A scarf pin is a pin that is placed at the tie to keep the necktie tight. So that was of diamond. That shows how rich he is. And he said, I made a lot. Jimmy, you would not have made even half of my wealth. So he was telling, and he took his wristwatch and he showed it is all diamond. And he said 3 minutes to 10, exact time to meet. They were talking and walking. And as they reached near a medical drug shop, that is medical shop, the light fell on the face of this man, tall man, and immediately Bob stops and looks at this man and said, you are not Jimmy. Jimmy could not have grown that tall, you see. I know Jimmy very well. After 20 years, a man cannot put up much height. And not only that, Mr. Jimmy Wells' nose cannot change. So Jimmy Wells has a big nose. And this is not Jimmy. He stops and he was shocked. But the other man said, Mr. Bob, you are under arrest. 10 minutes, you are under arrest. So I am a police officer from the Chicago squad. So you are under arrest. And he said, I've been waiting for my friend Jimmy Wells. And the police officer hands him a paper. And he opened and he read, Jimmy Wells, dear Bob, I was there at the scheduled time at the place where the Brady's restaurant was there. I met you and you met me. But when I knew who you were, I could not arrest you. So I went back and sent one of my colleagues to arrest you. And this is how the story ends. You see their friendship, how thick their friendship was. Jimmy Wells could have arrested him, but his heart was full of love and affection for his best friend. So he could not do that all by himself. So he put someone else in this place. So that is the ending of after 20 years. I hope you understood the summary of the lesson, and we shall go on live class. We shall have the reading and explanation. But till then, bye bye. See you.